Commanders hire Dan Quinn to match with their new general manager, Adam Peters, to lead this franchise into the future.
The way that we live is not for everybody, okay? It's not, all right? Because we're going to run and put our bodies on people in a violent manner.
Whether the team is giving us the highest of highs or the blues to blues, we'll cover it all here on Commanders Nightly News. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. So we're embarking upon one of the biggest stretches of our season. It's not the biggest because there's a stretch right after this where we will be embarking upon the biggest stretch of our season because we will be playing essentially the two teams in the division that we felt like were going to be the teams we would be chasing in the division in Dallas and Philadelphia in consecutive weeks. In the case of the Eagles, it'll be on a quick turnaround on a Thursday night on a short week. And then after that, you get a little bit of a break, so to speak, a pseudo bye, which is much needed for this team. We haven't had one, and we're not going to have our bye for the third consecutive year in a row until week 13, right? So, or week 14, I think it is. Whatever the case may be. It is imperative, though, that we recognize that an opportunity sits in front of us. And much like I said when we took on Arizona and Cleveland, there's an opportunity that exists in front of us. And for the first time this season, and a lot of you probably haven't given this much thought, this is the first time we're going to play 2 games in a row at home, back-to-back home games for the first time this season. It's been a crazy schedule. We've been on the road a ton. And so this is the first time where, hey, we got a home game. And guess what? We got another one at the crib next week. So we've done a great job to this point of taking care of home. One of the goals at the beginning of this season was to reestablish home field dominance. Make home feel like home. Don't allow other teams to come in here with their fans, infiltrate the stadium. Look, this is a new day and age in the NFL. Opposing teams' fans are going to get in the stadium. That you can't box them out any longer. I don't care if it's Green Bay, Kansas City, Seattle. Other teams' fans are going to make their way to the game. Some places a little different than others, right? But our place has become a safe haven for other teams' fans to come and buy up tickets and cheer on their team and make it feel like a home game. That no longer can be the case. It hasn't been this season. I want that to continue in this game against Carolina. But more importantly, it's another opportunity to protect the house. We're 2-0 on the season at home. Let's make it 3-0. Let's get to 5-2. Let's continue to play good football. Let's pick back up where we left off when we took on Cleveland at home a couple of weeks ago. Let's get back on track. And you got the Bears next week. There's no overlooking Carolina this week, though. And they're a tough outfit. And we've talked about this already. They're 1-5, and there are a lot of reasons as to why they're 1-5. And our goal is to make them 1-6. They're going to win 4 or 5 games this season. Another one of our goals is to make sure that we're not one of the 4 or 5 that they win this season. We can't be. Not if we want to hit our goals and aspirations. We can't be one of the 4 or 5 games that they do win this season. They'll catch somebody slipping that no one expects them to catch slipping. It can't be us, right? So I expect the attention to detail that existed against Cincinnati and Arizona and Cleveland to exist in this game, and even to a lesser degree, Baltimore. I expect that to exist here. And I expect us to take care of business in this game against an opponent that we feel like we should be able to handle. And it's an opportunity to protect the house, to kick off this home streak. It's not just 2 in a row at home. It's 3 out of 4 at home. We're finally getting some home cooking after spending much of our season to this point on the road. We've played 6 games this season, 4 of which have been on the road. So we've been road warriors, or we've had to be. Obviously, our 2 losses have come on the road, but of our wins, 2 of them have come on the road as well. We've got just as many road victories as home victories because we've played double the amount of road games. Well, now we're going to start to even the playing field, so to speak. Now we're going to even the score by playing 3 out of 4 at home, and we got to continue to take care of home. It is imperative that you take care of home. And this 3-game stretch here, right, is big. because it's home for Carolina, home for Chicago, at the Giants. I don't care about at the Giants. I don't care about home for Chicago next week. I care about home for Carolina this week. I thought Ben Standig was extremely disrespectful at the podium today because he didn't think enough of Carolina to ask a Carolina Panthers question at the end of the press conference. If you didn't have any more questions about Carolina, then let the press conference be over with. He went as far as to say, well, I know this is going ahead a little bit, right? And he tried to preface it with, hey, I know I might be overstepping my boundaries here, but, and DQ was like, well, you can't, preface it with, with all due respect or whatever he said. DQ used the Talladega Nights reference or something to that effect. But then Ben Standig proceeded to ask about Caleb Williams and the Bears matchup next week. And I looked at DQ's face because my face was kind of turned upside down. Like, what the, bro? Have some respect for the Carolina Panthers. Like, are you really going to do that right now? It's Friday, the Friday that before we play Carolina, and you're asking me Bears questions? That's a next week question, bro. Don't ask me about Caleb Williams on the Friday before we play Carolina. You must have bumped your damn head. DQ's such a good dude. Because I would have lost my shit in that moment. Like, and I wouldn't have been, super nasty about it. But I would have been like, Ben, we play Carolina this week. We play the Bears next week. You want to ask me a Bears question? Ask me that question next week. DQ, because he's a good guy and he's a people person and he doesn't ruffle feathers. And I just love because he cares about people. And that's why I love DQ, right? He said, I'll give you a short answer now and I'll give you a longer one next week. Because he's saying, in his mind, he's like, what the hell, bro? Respect the game. Respect the game. Okay? Yeah, they're 1-5. But anybody can get got at any time. Don't do that. All right, don't do that. And as a fan of a team that used to be the 1-5 team in this situation, you know how disrespected I would have felt if I would have got wind? Like if I'm the Panthers and somehow it got back to me that they're not talking about us in their press conference. They're talking about the team they play next week. You know, that's bulletin board material that doesn't need to be given to anybody. Because I know I would have felt some type of way. I'm the same guy that told y'all when the Bucs went for it on a 4th down at their own 30-yard line against us back in 2021, I was offended. As a fan, I said, that's disrespect. You don't respect us. That's a slap in the face because if you were playing Kansas City, if you were playing New Orleans, if you were playing Detroit, well, not Detroit at that time, Green Bay, you wouldn't have done that shit. You said, it's Washington. They ain't going to do shit. Whether we get this or we don't get it, it don't matter. We still going to beat them anyway. Oh, really? You can look at it one of two ways. Either I really respect the hell out of them and I know we're going to have to score some points. We need to steal a possession here like Detroit did opening night last year against Kansas City when they tried a fake punt. And they got it on the first possession of the game at their own 34-yard line. But that wasn't what the Bucs were doing. And I remember Bobby McCain after the game echoed what I said. And I told you, I felt disrespected after the game. And then to hear Bobby McCain say, no, that shit was disrespectful. And we took it as such. I would take it the same way if I'm Carolina. Y'all talking about Chicago? Y'all play us this week. So I thought that was real disrespectful. And I'm glad DQ, just gave him a short answer. I wouldn't have gave him shit. But that just speaks to, hey, we got to stay locked in. Let these clowns out here try to draw your attention to something. Don't let them do it. Let them start talking about, and this is why I always tell y'all, focus on the task at hand. Don't open up your view, right? Don't widen your lens, right? Keep that shit narrow, all right? The haters want us to widen the view and lose track of a Carolina and slip up. That's what the Eagles want. That's what the Cowboys want. That's what the Bears want. These other teams that are going to be vying for a playoff spot, they want us to slip up. It's a lot of haters out there. They want to say, see, Jaden Daniels ain't shit. Don't widen your view. Narrow that bitch. It's Carolina. Take care of business. It's another opportunity to prove that we ain't the old outfit. The old outfit would have a letdown here, and whether we win or not, the old outfit would either let Carolina hang around, lose this game, right? Or get embarrassed like they did to Chicago last year, right? That's what the old outfit would do here. But the new outfit, they don't play no games, right? The new outfit takes care of the business that's supposed to be taken care of. Prove it again. Here's another opportunity to do so. And I got one more thing. Where the hell did this Maxx Crosby heat come from? I'm confused. Who started this shit? Maxx Crosby saying that he doesn't want to be a part of a rebuild? Did that start this? Because the Raiders owner, Mark Davis, has already said, we're not trading him. So why are y'all talking about it? Why? I don't understand where this heat is coming from. I'm seeing too many fans in my comments. You want to do that shit? Do it somewhere. Nah, I'm not. I'm kidding. But I'm seeing too many comments of people bringing up Maxx for what? They're not trading him. They're not trading him. Maxx Crosby doesn't hold any cards here. None. Right? He can threaten them in the offseason and force their hand then. But he doesn't hold any cards. He doesn't run anything. If they don't want to trade him, he's not getting traded. Devontae was different because he was a malcontent and he was a guy that you could already see wanted out a long time ago. Maxx doesn't want to leave. He just doesn't want to be a part of a rebuild. It's a difference. Sort of like Jonathan Allen, when he said after the season last year, if they trying to rebuild, if they trying to tear this shit down and build it back up, and it's going to take 2-3 years, I don't want to do that shit. I've been a part of enough losing here. I don't want to do that shit. It's the same thing Maxx Crosby is saying. He doesn't want to leave. He just doesn't want to be a part of a losing effort for the greater good of the future. That's what he's saying. Like, if y'all can't figure this shit out and we got to keep losing because y'all trying to figure out how y'all want to do this and y'all want to rebuild, okay, then let me out because I don't want to do that shit. I don't got much more time to waste. He ain't going nowhere. So I don't really understand where this heat is coming from. Not our fan base, right? Detroit, let the Detroit Lions, who lost their guy, do that shit. Not us. What are we doing that for? Maxx Crosby would be a great ad, but they're not trading him. It's just like saying, hey, we should go get Myles Garrett. Yeah, we should. How about we offer them 2 first-round picks? Do you think Cleveland's trying to trade Myles Garrett? Hell no. They're not trying to trade Max. He's that same type of player. Same type of player. He's not on the level of a Myles Garrett. That's a defensive player of the year over there we're talking about. And Maxx has never been that, but Maxx has that type of impact on games. You don't trade those players away. You don't give those players away. If we're having a yard sale, which the Raiders are not, don't get it twisted. They're not having a yard sale, okay? If you're having a yard sale, there's still items that you don't bring outside because it's not for sale. If the Cleveland Browns are having a yard sale, they're not bringing Myles Garrett or Denzel Ward outside. Those items stay in the house because they're ours. We're not selling them. They'll bring all the things outside that they can be haggled on or that they'll contemplate selling. Myles Garrett stays in the house. So does Maxx Crosby. So really, y'all can put a sock in that. I'm here to extinguish that fire. I don't know where that flame started. I'm here to extinguish it. Knock it off. In other news, we're going to talk about what DQ had to say at his Friday presser as we prepare for the Carolina Panthers. But before we get to that, as you know, here on Fridays, what we always do, take a look at the final injury report for both teams, starting off with the good guys heading into the contest in Week 7 versus the Carolina Panthers. And as to be expected, Dorrance Armstrong is out of this game. No surprises there. I told you guys, if it were up to me, there's no reason to play him this week. I don't like to be that guy, and I've said that all week. I don't like to be that guy, but I'm being that guy this week. I don't like to say, hey, we don't need this guy this week. We should be able to get by without him. But this is one of those weeks where you feel like you should be able to get by without Dorrance Armstrong this week. And DQ said that, Dorrance pushed it to the limit and he wanted to go, but they just, he had a good week of work. But, and I would assume if this was we got to have it game, like week 18, season on the line, playoff spot on the line, he would play. If this were a playoff game, he'd play. But it's week 7 against the Carolina Panthers, and they're 1-5. He doesn't need to play. Tyler Owens hasn't played in 2 weeks, won't play in a third consecutive week, but he's coming along as well, and I think he'll be back next week. So that is good news. Everybody else probably going to play in this game. Obviously, Cleveland Farrell, Brian Robinson Jr., and Jordan McGee, who has not been activated yet off of the off of his 21-day window, but he will be this weekend, are all listed as questionable. Jordan McGee has practiced in full each of the last 2 weeks. He's ready to go, if you ask me. So I think that you'll see all of those guys, Cleveland, B-Rob, and Jordan McGee, all play on Sunday. And you see everybody else is full. I told you this was the least worrisome injury report I've seen since week 2. This was the least threatening. That's the word I was looking for. The least threatening injury report that I've seen since week 2. As bad as we came out of the Ravens game in terms of bumps and bruises, and yes, no Jonathan Allen, no Dorrance Armstrong, no Javonte John Baptiste. We took some lumps. Not only did we lose, we added injury to that insult. This injury report doesn't reflect that. Now, because Jonathan Allen and Javonte and, they aren't on it, but this is a really positive injury report. We're relatively healthy, considering all of the things that we've gone through. We're relatively healthy heading into this game against the Carolina Panthers. Let's keep it that way. Transitioning to the ops. As you can see, a laundry list of injuries. So let's go through them real quick. Out, Claudine Shirless. Josie Jewell, that's a big one on defense for them. Tyler Moton, that's a big one on the offensive line for them. That's their starting right tackle. John Radigan is a core special teamer. He's out. Ashawn Robinson, another defensive lineman. They're already thin on their defensive line with also no Jadeveon Clowney, who has also been ruled out of this game. You see doubtful here, but he's been ruled out of this game as well. So, out is Jonathan Brooks. His window, 21-day window, has been activated this week, but he's not going to play this week. So you see a number of other guys that are questionable or doubtful. The only ones that really matter to me here are Deontay Johnson and probably Dane Jackson are the two guys. And Dane Jackson's going to play, right? Dane Jackson, I know he's going to play. This is how I know he's going to play, because I don't know if you saw this. They released veteran corner Troy Hill. And I knew it when I saw the post. I said, watch this. I went in the comment section. I said, I don't think I'm going to have to get 7 comments down, I told myself, before I find a Commanders fan in here snooping around talking about, he's a Commander. I got 4 comments in, and I got, he's a Commander. Hey, AP, go get him. And I'm like, y'all don't even know what this dude is about. You just scroll down another 4 or 5 comments, and there's a Panthers fan like, bro, you don't want this smoke. This dude got cut for a reason. He's 33 years old. That's a red flag in itself, because as I tell you all the time, the cornerback position is no country for old men. He said he's slow. He's a shell of himself. He's getting beat quite often. You don't want this. But I do, and that Panthers fan said, I do want him to go to New Orleans. They just had Paulson Adebo go down for the season. Tampa Bay, who's dealt with a bevy of injuries, or Atlanta. He's like, yeah, one of y'all can pick him up, because those are divisional foes, and he knows that this guy isn't any good. So, again, y'all stop that shit, man. Every guy that gets released doesn't need to be here in Washington. Stop that shit. Anyway, somebody in the comment section of my last video, because I started to get excited. Deontay Johnson hadn't practiced all week, and I was like, man, I don't know. He might not play. That's the biggest threat, is Deontay Johnson. He's a problem. And you heard our defensive coordinator, Joe Witt Jr., who said, I wasn't familiar with his game. I hadn't heard of him at all. And then I turned on the tape, and I was like, who the f is this dude? Where did this guy come from? He's a problem. I'm like, yeah, you didn't know about him? He's like, yeah, somebody said he was in Pittsburgh. I never heard of him. Yeah, he's a problem. Somebody in the comment section said, bro, don't get excited about Deontay not practicing. This is his move. He's been doing this since his Pittsburgh days. He's playing in this game. Bless me. Sorry about that. Excuse me. He said he's playing in this game. And I said, noted. And sure enough, I go to the injury report, and I was hoping that this person would be wrong, that he would be out of this game. His is now ribs, hamstring, and ankle. It was just a hammy or ankle, excuse me. All week it was just the ankle. Now it's ribs, hammy, and ankle. But he was limited today, and he's questionable. His ass is going to play. I was like, God damn it. But such is life, man. You can't win them all. We got no Jadeveon Clowney. We got no Josie Jewell. Look, you can't have it all. I would trade no Deontay Johnson for them having Jadeveon Clowney and Josie Jewell in the lineup. But if it's any consolation, those two being out will make it a lot more attainable to go get a 40 burger than those two being in the lineup and Deontay being out and us defensively having maybe a bit easier time without their number one wide receiver in the game. But again, such is life. There will be no real advantages gained for our defense other than Taylor Moton being out, their starting right tackle. Deontay playing gives them a chance, right, on the offensive side of football. But defensively, they're hurting, and they're going to continue to hurt in this game. And because they're hurting, we got to put a hurting on them. So let's now go to what we heard from DQ at his presser today. So I love this comment. He made this comment on Wednesday, on his Wednesday presser. And I forgot to mention this then, but he reiterated it again today. And he asked the team on Tuesday or Wednesday, excuse me, when they met, would the team now beat the team that started the season off? So would the week 7 iteration of the Commanders beat the week 1 iteration? And they, without question, in unison said, yes, the week 17 would win. That's the kind of progress that he's looking for. They've gotten better. And I think we can all attest to that. The team we saw in Tampa Bay in week 1 is nowhere even remotely close. I can't even remember that team. This is such a different squad from the team we saw in week 1 against the Buccaneers, right? Especially on the offensive side. Defensively, you might be like, it's the same damn team we saw. No, it's not. They couldn't tackle to save their life. Communication was horrible. The communication wasn't great in week number 6 against Baltimore, but it wasn't horrible like it was against the Bucs, where guys were running open for touchdowns. And the tackling was atrocious the first couple of weeks of the season. It was ridiculous. I mean, really up until Cleveland, the tackling wasn't up to my standard, where you could at least say, all right, this is satisfactory. We could be better, but we can get by with this. It wasn't until the Cleveland game. I thought we still struggled with tackling, even up against Arizona. Remember, they ran for 170 yards on the ground in that game, did the Cardinals. I think they ran for that much. No, it might have been like 140. It might have been 170. Because I remember saying, they lost by 28, but they still managed to rush for almost 200 yards. I think that was what I kept saying. That shouldn't happen, but we couldn't tackle. So we're a much different team. So he talked about that, and I agree with him. It's a totally different outfit from week 1 to week 7 for sure. And he talked about the challenges that the Panthers pose. Obviously, it's the same thing we've heard all week, which it's facts. Got a good offensive line, especially on the interior. They can run the football with Chuba Hubbard. He said that one of the most interesting and fascinating dynamics this week is going to be special teams, because the Panthers are a lot like us in the sense that they kick that thing off and they expect you to return it. He said it's going to be a lot like that Cleveland game, where we're going to get opportunities to return it. It's not going to be a bunch of touchbacks. Because, last week, Justin Tucker was just kicking the bitch out of the end zone. Like, bro, you're not returning this. So we really didn't get to return a lot of kicks last week. And then you get some teams who just say, you know what, we'll just get it at the 30, right? We don't even want to play that game. But Carolina is much like us in the sense that, because we're not giving up nothing. We're not assuming that the 30 is a given. Like, you got to get it to the 30. We're not giving it to you at the 30. And so DQ's like, this is one of those games where we're going to have to earn it. Because special teams-wise, they got a punter that's thrown passes in this league, and Johnny Hecker, big leg, They're kicking that thing to the one and forcing you to return it like we are. So it's going to be a real special teams game. They got a kicker with a big leg, punter, a field goal kicker. I think he's giving Eddie Pinheiro a little bit more credit than he deserves. Eddie Pinheiro does not have a big leg, but whatever. He's accurate though. Very, very accurate is Eddie Pinheiro. So, he said the special teams is going to play a big part. Speaking of which, he did name the captains for this week. Sam Cosmi is the offensive captain. The defensive captain is Frankie Louie, which you would expect. He's going up against his old team, and that matters. And then the special teams captain is the guy that we signed from Seattle, who has been a stud for us on special teams. I don't know why I can't remember his name, but he's a dog, man. He's in just about every special teams tackle. This dude is in on that shit. I'm like, yo, you a bigger fiend than Jeremy Reeves? He was like, I am though. I'm like, nah, you ain't. He's like, man, you better Google me. That dude, Nick Ballore. That's the special teams captain this week. So Cosme, Louvu, and Ballore are the captains this week. And Nick Ballore ain't no joke on special teams. So he talked about those three and why they deserve the opportunity to be captains this week. He talked about Deontay Johnson as a weapon. Talked about them being one of the better tackling teams in the league. So the whole yards after contact or yards after catch or, things of that nature concept this week is going to be challenged because they don't give up a lot. Where you catch it is usually where you go down, and they're a pretty good, sound tackling team. So that'll be something that I would like us to try to threaten and test, see if we can't break some tackles, get some yards after catch. But, most importantly, we just got to execute, And so that was really his message. It's like, hey, just go out and, do the things that we know we're capable of doing, and we should be fine. And he talked about Daryl Green, and they asked him about, what is the importance of this younger generation having a connection to the older generation, because obviously this is an alumni game. The last time we had an alumni game, a homecoming game of sorts against Carolina in a year that they were struggling, coincidentally enough, I actually don't like bringing this up now that I think about it because there's so many parallels, but it's different because we got one of them ones. I'm not afraid of any of this anymore, but it was 2012. That was the season that we had one of our first homecoming games where we wore the, leather helmet look, where we wore those brown helmets that were pretty much playing with the silver face mask and the deep, deep, deep burgundy. I guess you could almost call it maroon jerseys with the big brown numbers, with the brown name on the back, with the old Indian logo on the patches of the sleeves. And we lost to the Carolina Panthers in that game. And I remember D'Angelo Williams being pissed off because he felt like it was a homecoming, which technically that's what they call it. Like they call it alumni now, but it was a homecoming game back then. And he was disrespected because he's like, you schedule your homecoming for a opponent that you feel like you're going to beat up on. Like, you don't schedule a homecoming game against one of the better teams on your schedule. You do that for a team that's a Joe Schmo that you feel like you're going to chump. And so they felt disrespected and they beat us. And they were a bad team that year. When we played them, I think they were 1-6. And we were coming into the game at 2-6. They had a bye week. We hadn't. And they beat us, and we dropped. We were 2-5 at that time, and they beat us. We were 3-5, excuse me, going into that game, and they were like 1-6, and they beat us and dropped us to 3-6, and that was right before the bye, and that's when Shanahan made the infamous statement, "Hey, we're evaluating for next year," and then Robert Griffin countered with, "Now we ain't gonna evaluate for next year. We gonna run the table, win the division. Why not?" And then we did, but it started with an alumni game at home against the Carolina Panthers, who were 1-6. Sound familiar? A little bit different this time around, though. And we out for revenge. But DQ said it's important that these young players know what the history is. It's a rich history. They understand who paved the way for them, and they understand what the standard is. They got a standard to uphold, right? Not the shit that we've gone through the last 30 years, but before then, this was a prestigious organization that was revered as the best in the league. And these great players that you're going to see here on Sunday coming together to help honor one of the greatest in this franchise's history, they have a legacy that they've left. And this new group has a chance to do something that the last 30 years worth of players were unable to do. And that's pick up and honor tradition. Pick up the legacy, run with it, and honor tradition. So he's like, it's important because one day they themselves could be those players coming back to this organization and being revered, right? You want to be what those guys are. So I think that is important. And I think we got to do this for Daryl and all of the alumni and show them that it's different because they've come back many a time to an ass whooping for us or a loss for us, right? Where the shit wasn't good. Treat them to a show. Show them that it is different. It feels different because it is different. Speaking of which, let's get to the game plan against these Carolina Panthers and what needs to be done for us to get the win. We'll start with our offensive keys to victory. First offensive key, get back to business, right? And so what does that mean, Louie T? Get back to business is all-encompassing on the offensive side. I told you last week, leaving that game, it didn't feel like we were ourselves. And one of the things that I've made mention of on various keys to victory, on Fridays before games this season, at least 3 or 4 times this year, is because we've established an identity, right? We're in the process of laying the foundation for what Commanders football looks like. And obviously we didn't have that identity the first 3 weeks because we had yet to establish that. I think we started to really establish that in week 4 after, building off of what we had done in weeks 2 and 3. And then we cemented that in week 5. And so I feel like we've established who we are, and we didn't do that. We didn't play our style of ball in week 6. And DQ talked about Brian Robinson Jr. coming back potentially. He said that, he had a great week of work. They're going to check to see what the recovery looks like for him on Saturday. And if he feels good based off of the practice and the workload from the week on Saturday, they'll take him up to game time. But normally, if a guy's not going to play, DQ tells us this guy's not going to play, right? Like he did with Doris Armstrong Jr. and Cleveland Farrell and Austin Eckler when he was out. I think Brian Robinson Jr. is trending in the right direction, and he's going to play on Sunday. And he's like, that's a big boost. And somebody asked him, what does Brian Robinson add or what do you lose when you don't have him? And he said, with B-Rob, you lose that physical edge. He said, those 1 and 2 yard runs, especially when you get down inside the goal line, inside the, 5, or you get into those short yardage situations. That's where you feel his presence or lack thereof. I felt it last week. We got down to the 1 yard line and we couldn't get in with Austin Eckler. And then we tried Jaden and we almost got his head taken off. And then we got a penalty, and then he had to throw the bitch to Terry for a touchdown on 4th down. All because we couldn't run it in on 1st and 2nd down. That would have been a B-Rob carry, and he would have probably gotten in. So, and obviously, we didn't run it a ton because I don't think Cliff had the confidence to keep running it against a physical defense with Austin Eckler and Jeremy McNichols. So, you get a lot back in B-Rob. And so, for me, getting back to business is all about running the football, winning time of possession, executing on 1st and 2nd down, which I didn't think we were always great on, especially 2nd down. I thought 1st down, we were actually pretty solid against the Ravens. Shit, we were really good on 1st down. Who were we kidding? We were great on 1st downs. The problem was 2nd downs, right? And that led to 3rd downs that weren't advantageous, and we weren't good on 3rd downs. So get back to business. Be good in the ground game. Be good time of possession. And how you be your best at time of possession is by converting on 3rd downs, which is what we have been one of the best teams in the league at. We're now 2nd. We were the 1st in the league in 3rd down conversion rate prior to last week's game. So let's get back to business. Let's get back to converting on 3rd downs. Let's get back to running the football, being who we are. Let's get back to time possession. Let's get back to not punting the football. Let's get back to being who we are. Too many punts last week. Listen to me. Listen to how pompous and arrogant I've become. I love this shit. Listen to me talking about let's get back to not punting. We punted too much. How many times did we punt against Baltimore? 3? You hear me talking about we punted too much? I love it. That's how far we've come. When we see Tressway on the field more than once in a game, something's gone horribly wrong. I love that. Let's get back to business. Protect Jaden and the Duke. This is so important this week. Not that it's not important every week, but when you're playing a team that you feel like is inferior, that you feel like you should beat, what do I always tell you about turnovers? They're the great equalizer. You want to give a team that you don't think is on your level a chance to level up? Turn the ball over. That'll get them on your side real quick. That'll give them a chance to link you. Go ahead, turn the shit over. Find out what it's like to overcome -2 in the turnover category. We know all about it. I don't have to tell you. If you're a fan of this team, you know all about the shit. We've been clean for the most part this season. Let's keep it that way against a team that shouldn't be in this game. Don't do that Cleveland shit we did where we turned it over twice and gave them opportunities, because this ain't Cleveland. This ain't, just score 20 and you'll be fine. That ain't the formula this week. These boys can score. So don't give them no opportunities. They don't need help. They don't need help. And they're one of the worst teams at getting to the quarterback. So this shouldn't be a Jaden Daniels sack 4 times type of party. He shouldn't be sacked at all in this game. 0 sacks is what he should have in this game. 0. No Jadeveon Clowney, no problem. No sacks. Protect Jaden, protect the Duke. Next offensive key. Establish the tone early and often. I'm not speaking in Spanish. Y'all know what this is. You're playing a team that you want to set the tone against early. Don't allow Carolina to gain confidence. The longer they stay in the game, we just did that to Cincinnati in week 3. We were 7-point dogs, I believe. 6.5, 7-point underdogs. We weren't supposed to have a chance on the road on a Monday night, right? And the longer they let us hang around, they jumped on us early. They set the tone. 45-yard touchdown strike to Jamar Chase. They set the tone. But they didn't continue with that. They gave up a touchdown rate on the ensuing drive. Then they didn't score on their next drive. We did. We took the lead, and we never relinquished it in the game. So the more that we hung in that game and we looked up and, damn, we almost at halftime and we up. You get to the third quarter, it's 28-13. Oh, shit. Let's win this bitch. You got to put them out of their misery early. Like Atlanta played around with their food last week. They were lucky enough that late Carolina faded and they were able to stretch that thing out and win. But don't play with your food. Chicago beat these boys up early. They ran for a touchdown on the first possession. Chuba Hubbard took off for like 40 yards, touchdown, gave him a 7-0 lead. Them boys ain't score again the rest of the game. They put the clamps down on them. Let them know, hey, I'm going to be honest with you, man. That shit you did on the first possession, that was cute, but that shit's over with. This ain't your day. And they stepped on their damn necks and said, try again next week. Not here. Not now. We need to be on that same type of energy. I'm not saying give up a first possession touchdown. To hell with that. I'm trying to give up no touchdowns. But I am saying establish your dominance. Assert yourself early and often. Don't let up. I don't really feel like I need to preach to this team to do that because they've done that. When they put their foot on the gas, they've accelerated this season. Do it again. And then the final offensive key, score points, and a lot of them, all right? Red zone efficiency is going to be key here for us. Give you a crazy stat. So our red zone efficiency this season is over 50, it's 57%, just a shade over 57%. Let's call it 57.5%. In the red zone of the percentage of times we score a touchdown. On the road, it's 85%. Like, we are damn near automatic on the road. But when we bring our monkey asses home, there's this struggle. We've only played 2 home games. We went 0 of 6 against the Giants. And then last home outing against Cleveland, we threw an interception and we settled for a field goal in that game, and we were 2 of 4. Right? So that's 1 of 8, which is 25%. So again, for you doing the math at home, or I think it was 2 of 8, which if you're doing fractions and you reduce it, that comes out to 1 of 4. Again, 25%, you do the math, right? 1 of 8 is not 25%, but 1 of 4 is. 2 of 8 is, and that's we scored 2 out of 4 times in the red zone against the Browns. None. I think we were 1 of 3 against the Browns, and or were we 0 of 2 because we had a lot of explosives against the Browns. I'm trying to think. No, it had to be 2 of 4. Whatever the case, the math ain't mathing, but it's 25% at home. Okay, F all of that. Okay, F all of that because I think it's 10, right? I think it's 10, but whatever. It's 25% at home. 0 for against the Giants. You know, whatever we did against the Browns, we threw a red zone interception. We settled for a field goal on another drive. Shit ain't good enough. I know that much. Whatever the hell the number was, shit ain't good enough. So we got to tighten the hell up. We got to tighten the hell up in the red zone. At home, 25% in the red zone at home is atrocious. That's what's dragging the average down. We got to be efficient. This is the game to get that shit right. I mean, if you want to score some explosives outside of the red zone for touchdowns, by all means, I don't give a shit how the touchdowns come. Just score them. But if you get in the red zone, I need 7s, not 3s in this game, right? That's another way to allow them to hang around is to kick field goals instead of scoring touchdowns. Let's run it up. Let's run it up. Defensive keys. Stop the run. That's the first one. It's obvious. It's easy. It's timeless. I could say that every week, but this one, it really hits home like it did last week against Baltimore. Because so much of what the Panthers do offensively starts with their ability to run the football. They don't want to get into a drop back situation where Andy Dalton has to drop back on 3rd and 8 or 9 and convert a first down. That's why they're not good on third downs. That's why they struggle with time of possession. That's why they struggle scoring points and winning time of possession and sustaining offense because they get into those 3rd and long situations. But they don't get in those situations when they run the football. And then they run offense that is dynamic and fluid, and now everything works because now you get bootleg off of the run, you get play action off the run, and everything runs and funnels through their run game. And it's working right now. Stop the run, cut the head of the snake off, the rest of the body will die. That's how you get to Andy Dalton. That's how you get him to make a mistake. But you have to get to Chuba Hubbard in that run game first. Next defensive key. Ball is life and communication. Look, we're +1 in the plus-minus category from a turnover perspective. Good. We're on the right side of it. But I'm sick and tired of playing the yo-yo game, right? 1 week we're 0. The next week we're +1. You know, let's just push this thing up a bit. Like, let's force 2 or 3 turnovers. We have yet to have a game this season in which we forced multiple turnovers. Hey, here's an opportunity to do that. Let's try it. Don't give it away, but take it away a couple of times. Say it with me. Don't give it away, but take it away a couple of times. If ball is life, let's breathe into this team defensively. Let's give the offense some short fields. Hell, you could even take one of these and score it yourself. You tried to do it last week, but failed. Maybe you get it done this time. You take it all the way this time and make a residency call. How about it? Let's make it happen. And then communication was not at its sharpest last week. Clean it up. Get better. No explosives. No easy cheapies because you thought it was cover 3 and he's playing cover 2. Let's not do that. Or you thought that guy was the number 3 receiver. He's really the number 2. You were supposed to carry the 2, and now he's wide open. Let's not do that on 3rd and long. Let's be sharper here. Come on, guys. We can do it. Defensively, we can get better. I know we can. Here's an opportunity to do it. Next defensive key. This one's going to sound a little weird, but hear me out. Win on every down. Louie, what are you talking about? Win on every down? Yeah, it sounds simplistic, right? I know. Last week I said win on 1st and 2nd down and force 3rd down and longs, right? Stop the run, win on 1st and 2nd downs, and that will allow you to get off the field on 3rd downs because that shit sounded good. And then you know what we actually did? We won on 1st and 2nd down, got them to 3rd and long, and then gave up a damn 1st down on 3rd and long over and over and over and over again. So you know what I'm not going to do this week is say, hey, win on 1st and 2nd down, put them in 3rd and long situations and get off the field. No, F that. Win on every down. Win on 1st down, win on 2nd down. That's going to put them in 3rd and long, and then win on 3rd down, damn it. No downs off. No downs off. Win on every single down, including 4th down. And then last defensive key. Tighten up in the red zone. I've been talking about this shit. It feels like when teams get into the red zone against us, it's inevitable that they're going to score a touchdown. I don't know if you're feeling the same thing as me, but I feel good when the defense gets a team to like that 27, 28-yard line range. Like, I think we can get a stop. Soon as they hit the 18, I'm like, oh, shit, they probably going to score a touchdown. Soon as they hit the red zone, I'm like, I don't feel good about this. You know what we're giving up right now in the red zone, touchdown percentage-wise? 70% of the time teams get in the red zone against us, they score a touchdown. That is 4th worst in the NFL this season. We are horrendous in the red zone. That means for every 10 times an opponent moseys on into our red zone, they score 7 damn times out of 10. That is ridiculous. But so has our defense been this season. Ridiculous. This is a week to fix that. And if Jerry Jeudy could catch it, probably be like 77%. Because that was a perfectly thrown football. We have to find a way to be better in the red zone defensively. Every red zone trip cannot result in a touchdown. We barely stopped the Ravens last week one time in the red zone. One time. Let's see if we can't. First of all, I don't even want the Panthers in the red zone. Don't want them in the red zone. It'd be nice if we do them like we did Cleveland. But if they do get in the red zone, and they will, who are we kidding? We know what this defense is. They'll get in the red zone. Can we find a way to force them to kick a field goal? Or make a tough decision. I don't know if we're going to be able to win with field goals today. Let's go for it. Fine. Stop them on 4th down then. But we got to stop giving up touchdowns in the red zone. It's just getting out of hand. It's putting too much stress on our offense to have to score 30-plus every week because the defense can't trust them to not give up 30. So we got to go score 35. Let's get some stops, man. So those are the defensive keys. Those are the keys to the game. And so now let's transition to the final outcome. I think this is going to be a game that we get comfortably. You know, it might start slow, at home for whatever reason. We love to start slow. I love to buck that trend in this game. And some of you might be uptight early. What are we doing? Why are we doing this? This team is so maddening. And I can see some of y'all going crazy early. Relax. We got this. I hope they jump out on these boys and jump them quick and get this shit over with. I would really like to be watching some other games in the fourth quarter. They've spoiled me. What can I say? What more can I say? I've been spoiled. They got me watching other shit in the fourth quarter, feeling comfortable, legs up, hands behind my head, living the life. Here's another opportunity to do that. Don't let this opportunity pass you by. 30-27, good guys get it done. Or excuse me, 37-20. Let me get that right. 37-20, good guys. Cover the spread, that 9.5 point number. I think it was 9. 9 or 9.5. I think they cover that number with ease. Win by 3 scores. Continue their offensive dominance this season. And, prepare themselves for a big matchup next week. But you got to take care of this one first, and I think they will. And they'll take advantage of another opportunity at home to prove that we're going to do what we are supposed to do against the teams we're supposed to do it against. What says you? Leave it down in the comment section. Score and more. What do you think is going to happen here against the Carolina Panthers in week number 7? They're honoring one of the best Redskins in franchise history, Daryl Green, rightfully taking his place among the immortals in this franchise's history. No one will ever wear the number 28 again. This is long overdue, and it'll be a pretty special moment. And I hope they document this and we get some sort of video footage of this up on the team site, up on the YouTube channel. They got to do something with this footage. They've been killing it all year. Don't let me down. Obviously, we're not going to see it. If you're not in attendance, you're not going to see the ceremony. You're not going to see the build-up. You're not going to see all of that stuff, right? They've been documenting everything. I think we're going to get something. They documented him going into his suite for the first time, and I think they're going to put together a full video, and I can't wait to watch it. And we got to honor the legends, the alumni that are going to be in attendance. Show them a good time. Treat them to an ass whooping. A real one. Given by the good guys. I look forward to seeing that. Anybody, anywhere, anytime. You know what it is. Go make it happen. I'm your man, Louie T, signing off. See you guys on Sunday after the game. I will be on Bleacher Report for 30 minutes after the game's conclusion. So I'll be over there. As soon as I'm done there, we'll come chop it up and we'll talk about how this game came to be. So, till then, you guys, have a good one. Enjoy your weekend. Take care.
Here comes the diesel. Here comes the diesel. There's the snap, hand to Riggins. Good hole. He's got the first down to the 40. He's